Hello, this is Coach Lake with Fitness by the Lake and PE teacher at the North Carolina Leadership Academy. All right, so this is lesson number 2. We're going to be talking about stress in your body. First, I'm going to remind you of our lesson objectives. Number 1, to explain the purpose of emotions and how they happen. We've done that previously. To describe different levels of basic human needs. Think Abraham Maslow's 5 levels of needs. There's a hierarchy. 3, to explain how mental health affects physical health, because there is a correlation from one to the other. And to identify healthy ways to cope with stress. So, an introduction to stress in your body. Emotions begins with thoughts and may cause physical changes or reactions. That's a synopsis of what we learned last time. The more basic the need, the more people experience the emotions that signal that need. So the more basic the need it is, the more people experience, and the more emotions that signal that need. Okay? When basic needs are threatened, people experience stress. So when you have a need, it's not being met, you experience stress. Okay, what is stress? Stress is a state of physical or emotional pressure. It is a reaction to anything that places demands on the body or mind to which people must adapt. Understanding how stress affects your mind and your body is important. All right, so all that to say is stress is normal and it can be either good or bad. Okay, when you think of good stress, think of events like graduation, going on your first date, a wedding. Those can be good sources of stress. Good stresses help people to accomplish goals and challenges. Okay, bad stress is harmful. So examples of some bad stress are changing schools, a death of a loved one, stuff like that. Bad stress can interfere with healthy living. So how do people react to stress? Okay, when you face stress, you try to find out what is wrong and whether it is dangerous. For example, if I were to assign if I were to say, hey, I was unhappy with you, and you'd start to feel stressed, you would think, what bad news is Coach Lake going to talk to me about? And so what do you do first? First, you ask yourself, what might be wrong? And is it something serious that I did? Okay, then you react. You decide what your reaction will be. So, for example, you could simply come up to me and ask me, hey, Coach Lake, what did I do wrong? Most of your reactions are automatic and physical. An example would be you may feel worried and notice that your heart is beating faster. So you're coming up to talk to me and you're like, oh, my word, this is stressful. Your heart starts beating faster. Okay, this is called the stress response. Okay, the stress response, you'll need to remember, it's going to show up later, hint, hint. The stress response affects your body in ways you may not be able to control. So your heartbeat elevates. You start to sweat. Your breathing quickens. These are automatic physical responses to stress. Okay, other examples include blushing, gasping in surprise, oh, you scared me, crying out. Strong reactions to stress include headaches, stomach pain, sleeping problems, and feeling nervous. A person's response to stress often takes one of 2 forms. Okay, and you've heard this before. Fight or flight or flee. Sometimes they use flight, sometimes they use flee. So fight or flight. So when something threatens or angers you, you may feel an impulse to fight it. If you fight, you attack what's threatening you. This doesn't necessarily mean you start smacking them and beating them. It means that it could be you say, hey, quit teasing me. So you're confronting the problem, okay? If you flee or if you flight, you leave the situation, but nothing changes. So someone's teasing you, what do? You just relieve yourself from that situation. You avoid it. The flight or flight impulses are natural, and they happen without you thinking about them. Okay, so you can also react to stress by thinking about what to do. Okay, after you react to a stressful event, your body becomes calmer. Then you can decide what to do to resist stress. For example, if you enter into a dark room and hear a noise, you may jump back. Then you can decide, after you've been scared, you can turn on a light and you can see what is making the noise. And you may find that the noise has nothing there's nothing to worry about. So what does that do? The stress was imagined. It was fabricated. And you were able to resist it because you stood there, stood your ground, turned on the light. Resisting stress often works. When people get rid of or avoid stress, what does that do? It makes you feel relief. And we're going to talk a little bit more about relief later. So, what physical reactions does stress cause? Okay, it's a chain reaction. When you interpret something as a threat, that noise in the darkness, your thought processes trigger your brain into action. The brain triggers the body into action to either fight or flee. The brain also sends chemical messages to the body system that controls bodily processes. The chemicals go directly into the bloodstream. That's important to remember. The chemicals directly go into the bloodstream. Some chemical messages cause faster breathing, increases more blood to the arms, legs, and head. This is what causes you to flush, feel warm, perspire, so on, etc. Okay, normally physical reactions to stress help people resist stress. Okay, so normally physical reactions to stress help people resist that stress. The chemicals that the body produces help people react quickly. In short, good stress can have a positive effect on the body, and bad stress can have a harmful effect. So what life events cause stress? There are numerous events. And so some of the most common stressful life events for teens and for young adults are as follows. Death of a parent, a visible deformity, parents' divorce or separation, being involved with alcohol or other drugs, a death of a brother or sister, beginning to date. Those are negative examples. Some positive examples of stress include an outstanding personal achievement, a PR, being accepted to college, being a senior in high school, a change in an acceptance of peers. You've gotten to a new clique, so to speak. A change in parents' financial status. All right. So what I'd like to do, I want to check some understanding. I want you to write down the answers to these questions as I read them off, and I want you to use complete sentences. So I know this, I ran through a lot of stuff, so you're probably gonna have to rewatch it if you weren't in class, or if you're just watching the video. So, what is stress? How can good stress help people? What are some automatic physical reactions to stress? What does it mean to respond to stress by fighting or fleeing? And where do the chemicals go when the blood sends messages to the body system controlling bodily functions? All right, so that is a synopsis of lesson number 2, part A. And I'm going to make another video with lesson 2, part B on managing stress. Peace out.